Hello there, welcome back to Battle Brothers, where in the first part / 0th part of this series, I played some Battle Brothers and got annihilated. I was poor, miserable, no hope. It was just real life, and eventually I decided to retire. But we are now back at it again for attempt 2 at playing Battle Brothers, this time with a bit more knowledge of what's going on and what things we can do to make things a little bit less miserable and hopeless. One of those things is to use spears, so this time, as we're here at the end of the tutorial battle, I've got a couple of spear guys, and by just slashing away, or stabbing away as it actually is, we can kill enemies, and this is a great advance on our previous performance. We also take out the shield of their leader early on, so that will make him easier to hit. Good to get that done as soon as possible in the fight, really. We've got this free guy on the end of the line who can now run forwards and stand next to the enemy's archer. Once we're next to him, he's considered to be in melee, so he can't shoot us anymore. He'll just have to slap away against my not particularly good melee fighter. That should be fine. Here I was hesitating to stab this thug with my spear guide because it said he was breaking, and I thought maybe that means I don't need to attack him. Then it switches to saying that he is fleeing, and I thought, well, we probably can just leave him to flee and focus our next attack on the main target, and I believe that is the right thing to have done. So we're now in a much better situation than we've seen before, but our crossbow guy is not going to do any better than before with his terrible point-blank range accuracy. I think it would be much better to just give him a melee weapon and a shield or something so he can act as a tank and still be just as effective offensively. Moving on, we are able to kill the fleeing guy, not really required because he was going to flee, but by killing him I can stand where he was and surround the enemy leader. The more guys you have surrounding a target, the more hit chance you get. You get a small bonus to hit chance if they're surrounded. So now it's not completely impossible to hit him. We're still going to be missing a lot of the time, of course, because RNG is supposed to be fun, they say. But eventually, with this many guys, and with us being relatively buffed to the enemy, we should bring him down. We also get some good RNG in that he doesn't really hit us when he tries to. So we surround and pound the remaining enemies, and there we go, we've completed the tutorial in a relatively clean fashion. Nobody died, and we get what I would normally complain wasn't very much loot, but in this game this is actually a pretty good loot set to get. It contains various things you might actually expect to find an enemy party carrying. Normally you wouldn't get anything like that. So, we've done the first mission, we're back into the main game again, and now we're on our own in the world to try and make some money. I decided to go to the city to the east of the starting town, mainly because in cities you can sell things for more, so I thought I'll get rid of some of the loot at a slightly higher price here. Plus the city does have a bunch of missions for us. Unfortunately, you can't take on a load of missions at the same time and then go around the town's hinterlands doing them all to make more money. You have to go backwards and forwards. In this case, the mission is to take a passage back over to the west. Seemed easy enough, and it was. Nothing happened, so here we're back at the starting town again, having delivered the package and made a tiny amount of money. Now the game asks us to pick an ambition to get some extra renown. Renown is the secret currency in this game that actually makes a massive difference. You have this morale stat that's shown in one of the submenus somewhere, and how much you get paid for missions, it turns out, is based on what your renown stat is, so it's actually very important. My ambition is to have 12 party members, because I thought, well, that's easy enough. We could hire a bunch of really cheap peasants and succeed in that goal to get some bonus renown. As you can see, our next mission was to escort a caravan to the next town over to the west, and again nothing happened on the way, so here we are at the next town. We've got a little bit of money, I hired a new guy, and now we take on another mission. As you can see, the cycle of this game is really getting started now. Basically, we need to keep taking on missions at every single town because we have no money, so just to stay alive we constantly have to do whatever is available. And this mission was to go and recover some item from some bandits out here to the north. So let's go and fight them in a nice snowy battle. It's also a night battle, which makes ranged attacks less effective. Perfect for us because we've now switched to having no ranged capabilities. My crossbow guy is up at the top there with a sword and buckler. In this mission I also kind of worked out that a good strategy is to just stand in a line quite close to the enemy at first, but not up against them. Because it uses quite a few action points for the enemy to step forwards, you get a defensive advantage of sorts. in that they'll walk forwards into your shield line, only be able to attack you once, and then when it's your turn, because you don't have to move before you attack, you can immediately land 2 attacks, meaning the first exchange of blows when you're all not fatigued and are able to act quite a lot might go a bit more in your favour if you let the enemy come and line up in front of you first. Or something. Once the lines are established, I'll want to focus on keeping my shield up so that we don't take many hits, and when we attack, we want to try and attack the guys who don't have shields to make some gaps in the enemy lines faster. Plus, with my useless guy at the top, we can do some outflanking action right here. This doesn't make a massive difference. You can't like double team enemies by attacking them at the same time or doing back attacks. It just gives you 5% chance extra to hit or something. So it's really not that important, but it feels tactically like the right thing to do. Speaking of tactics, I was also trying out the knockback thing again. Here we're kind of creating this slightly kinked battle line, where it means one of the enemy's troops is now surrounded by 3 of my guys, so he'll die faster. That might help. We're seeing a fair few enemies choose to raise their shield during their turn, which is pretty good actually, because we can still focus down the guys who don't have shields. So the guys with raised shields are just wasting their fatigue and action points, since I might not want to attack them anyway. Except for actually right here, where we can use split shield to try and get rid of this guy's shield. Unfortunately, we land a couple of hits and it doesn't do anything. I think there's some chance to break the shield, or maybe it has health or something. So we tried. Our rear attack guy can now use this riposte ability. This means he automatically attacks back if the enemy misses during their turn. Well, the enemy doesn't miss during their turn, they just very quickly kill him, even with that really weak looking enemy, so that sucks. I've been trash talking that guy the entire time and even in the last part, so finally he's dead. We don't have to worry about him anymore. Carrying on though, we are able to grab a breakthrough in the middle by taking out this guy we surrounded earlier, so that's something. It's 1-1, but it's still a 6 versus 6, giving us no particular advantage. We need some good RNG, or maybe some good tactics on our side. To be honest, I think RNG is more important in this game, since it's quite hard to move, and your positioning and the way you surround the enemy doesn't make an enormous difference. I think right now, our advantage is being gained from the fact that we have spears and they just get better RNG. Plus I think some of our guys have better armor than the enemy, so we can possibly take an extra hit. It depends how much damage the hits do. The difference between our armor isn't actually that large. Anyway, it's now 5 versus 4. We lost our axe guy at the bottom of the line since he has very little defensive ability, so if he ends up being attacked, that's just kind of the end of him. But we've taken out an enemy and got rid of the shield of the guy at the top of the enemy line, so that's something. We've got this guy in the middle who's in really bad condition. I'm going to not attack with him here because he's out of fatigue points. He's too tired to block, and if I don't attack, if he then miraculously survives until his next turn, I may have enough fatigue or enough stamina to raise my shield and perhaps not die. Here was my opportunity to do that. I chose instead to try and knock the enemy out. If you get a stunning blow to land, they miss their next turn. Well, it misses, the guy immediately attacks back and kills that guy. So there we go. That was a bad tactic, I think. Raising my shield, I think it would have decreased the enemy's chance to hit by like 10% or something. I can't quite remember at this stage. Might even be 20%. So that would have possibly saved my guy's life. We do go on though to eventually gain a distinctive advantage. We kill a couple of enemies in front of us, and then the last guy we can surround and pound. I think he ends up killing himself trying to run away. And that's that. The good news is that that last guy who died isn't quite dead as it turns out. He's just got a broken knee. This is a permanent debuff on this character, and it's giant, minus 40% defense. So we've now still got this brother, but he's kind of useless. This is almost worse than him dying because we have to pay him and he eats food, but he's not going to contribute very much. And here's what I meant about the loot situation. We get a bunch of weapons, but there's no food, tools, medical supplies, money, or just general items. Anything you might expect a party traveling around to be carrying, it's not there. So this game is pretty harsh about what you can loot, as mentioned before. After the fight though, a mysterious figure offers to buy off us what the quest was to find, some mysterious item, and the price was a lot higher than we're going to get paid for the actual quest. So I thought, okay, I'll take that, because this way I have a chance to still get out of the situation. Obviously those losses in battle will ruin us financially, but with that massive payout we just got, we can probably afford to roughly buy back to a position when we can still do missions and maybe keep going. I thought I'd better go to a town that's not the one I got the mission from though, because they might be mad about me betraying them there. Unfortunately, the next town along is a bit different. It's a stronghold type town, where it seems you need to have reached a certain amount of progress in the game or something to unlock missions. The nobles don't like us, we need to get them to like us by doing missions for someone else, I suppose. So, while we can still upgrade our party and try to get back into fighting strength, we can't take on another contract, so we have to waste precious time going back to the place we betrayed to see if they'll give us another job. Luckily no one jumps out and kills us or something, that's what I was worried about. It seems that everything is just fine, and we can pick up another quest, and luckily enough it's an easy one, despite being a 2-skull quest, meaning it's normal difficulty. The actual quest is just to walk all the way to the right hand side of the map. I suppose something could happen to you on the way, but as it happens, it's fine, so we just walk over here and hand the thing in. Probably didn't make any money there because you had to spend money upkeeping the party as we made that journey from the left hand side of the map to the right hand side. Once we're here, I spend some more cash upgrading my party further, and we're going to kick out the guy who's got a broken knee, because I thought there's no point investing in this guy and keeping him on board. I should have got rid of him before. Unfortunately, it turns out you have to pay compensation when you kick somebody out. Well, you don't have to pay it. It says something like your party will get mad at you if you don't. Since I could pay it, I thought, well, I will, to keep the party not mad at me. Not sure if that's really worth it. But there we go, we've got rid of that guy, and I immediately replaced him with someone else, spending most of my money along the way. After that I picked up a mission. It was to go and fight some thieves, but when I saw that there were 7 of them in the thief party, I thought, well, actually maybe we can't do this, because we've seen before just fighting a roughly equal strength party to you isn't really a good idea, because you can die real fast in this game. So I actually went back thinking maybe we can spend the last tiny bit of money we have to get another guy, and then maybe get through this fight losing less money's worth of equipment and personnel than it's going to cost me now to buy another one, if that makes any sense. So we get some cheap, terrible additional brother. I sold a bunch of the weapons and stuff in my inventory as well, because if I gave him some gear and then just walked off, we'd have no money and we wouldn't be able to pay the brothers, and we might have to pay them on the way to the battle. It all works out, and here we are now at the fight the next day. We've got a couple of hills on the map this time, so that spices things up. When you're above the enemy you get a small chance to hit bonus or something, maybe a damage bonus as well, can't quite remember. Since the hills aren't facing the right directions, we're not really using them very effectively here though. This was the fight when I noticed that we can get attacked from 2 tiles away. That guy with a pitchfork up on the hill at the top right was stabbing down at my spear guy below. So that's an interesting discovery. Some weapons do have 2-tile hit range, which I thought was strange because I thought surely my spears are at least the same length as that guy's pitchfork. He's got some sort of Sarissa pike pitchfork going on. Anyway, the 2 sides line up in front of each other and things go well for us. One of our spear guys kills one of their lowly grunts, and then we get lucky with an axe attack, beheading that guy immediately. So now we've broken through in the center with 2 enemies killed. It's now 8 versus 5, close to the beginning of the battle. That's going to make things significantly easier. Our axe guy continues to rampage by moving down off his little hill and attacking the guy who we can almost not see. When the hill is moving up towards the camera, stuff can be a bit hidden by the terrain. But he grabs another kill right there, meaning that downhill situation is looking good. At the top of the hill we've got the enemy's best troop, kind of locked down in a fight here. My new guy here with the poor armor is doing good, tanking the enemy. Unfortunately, that guy with a pitchfork is causing me some trouble. That was a really good bit of RNG that just shot past there. My guy with the spear below the pitchfork guy is 1 hit away from death thanks to earlier pitchfork pokes. So that was a critical miss for the enemy. And now we need some more good RNG, because of course the pitchfork guy can still stab. I can't move away from my position because there's an enemy next to me, or if I do try to move away, that enemy could attack and kill me. But thanks to more good RNG, we actually kill that guy this turn and it causes the pitchfork guy to start fleeing. So not only can we run away, the enemy guy is not going to attack me and will run away himself. So thanks to all of those stars aligning, we don't take a casualty in the middle there. We finish off the guy at the bottom, and now we just have to press up the hill towards the main guy at the top. The guy with the pitchfork is going to essentially kill himself trying to flee from my surrounding troops, and that causes the final guy to try to retreat, so we don't even have to fight him properly. We're not going to let him retreat, we can force the rest of the fight to go on so that we can kill another enemy, get more experience, and maybe have him drop a weapon or something for us to pick up. Meaning by the end of all that, we actually did it. We did a genuine fight without getting any brothers killed. So that means no particular back progress has been made, at least maybe, and this could be a first for this series. Although that said, looking at it from another perspective, we're going to get paid 270 crowns for this mission. We could have spent that much walking to that location and back in both salary, food and tool costs repairing our stuff after the battle, so it's not really easy to tell whether this was a good use of our time. The only thing it will do is get us this secret background resource. I didn't really know about it while playing, so seeing how badly paid I was being, I thought this is outrageous. Like, this game is completely unwinnable. It's never going to stop just being a constant cycle of everything we've seen so far forever. But every time you complete a mission, I now know, a secret renown counter is going up, and every time that goes up, your next mission will pay you a bit more. So while we're in a bit of a dodgy situation here, it can still get better. I happen to have some salt in my inventory from earlier in the campaign, and by selling it, I've now actually got a bit of money, which I'll now immediately use buying more food because we're totally out. So things are okay, really, in terms of resources, for the next couple of days at least, or until we lose another brother and all of their equipment gets destroyed or something. Basically, the good RNG in that last fight means that we can have a short period of feeling like things are fine, while still being miserable and having no hope for the future, which I think is the intended reaction to this game. We grab another mission. It's to walk back to the other corner of the map again, so this is a familiar pattern now. It's good though because it's faster than fighting and might be better paid, because while you're paying your troops a decent amount to do this walking for you, at least they don't die, which will cost you even more. We get into town here, but this time we're going to make a stand against a mission that I don't want to do. The mission appeared to be the one where you have to go and fight direwolves, and I was like, we'll almost certainly lose a party member. I just don't want to, so I turned the mission down and then walked on down the road. On the way, I saw some military guys fighting with goblins, and I thought, well, we can step in on this battle and help out. Which is good, because this is kind of what I hoped the game would be like. More like there's stuff going on the world map and you can maybe intervene. More like Mount & Blade, basically. We do manage to intervene here, but only in the slightest possible way. My troops barely make it to the fight before it's over, because you can't move very far every turn. I think I might have added a surround bonus to one enemy or something, so it did go slightly better as a result of my presence, but really, we were just there. What I hoped was that just being there might get us some experience or loot, but it doesn't. So it was a waste of time. That was disappointing. I hoped at least to find something on the battlefield just somehow. We now go off down to the next town. This is the town again where I can't take on missions because of the nobility lock thing. I thought maybe a normal mission might spawn, but I think you are limited to the non-castle-y settlements in the early game. Or at least that's how it appears. At least I was able to buy a couple of sets of armor, getting rid of all of my money in the process, and that is a problem because there was no mission at Gerstel either, so I had to walk all the way back to the right corner of the map to look for employment and for food as well. We're about to run out of provisions, and not having much money means it's kind of hard to get those provisions as well. You can't do jobs or anything to get money or food. You have to do mercenary contracts. Luckily there is one here. We can go and fight some thieves or something. I can ask for more of the payment in advance. That's what we need right now. A bit of money will allow us to buy some food and then maybe have money left to not be bankrupt on the way to the mission. That's the thought. But this is when I completely broke. It doesn't really come across in an abridged commentary format, but I was having a terrible time playing this game, and it got to here and I was like, you're going to pay me about 250 crowns to do this mission that could cost me thousands in damages to actually do. Why? There's nothing else I can do, so I have to do this to continue the game, but I was so unhappy about the prospect that I just sat there staring at the screen by the looks of things. It's not frozen, this is just my gameplay reaction to this moment. As it happens though, I hate myself, so I did actually go and do it and continue playing, but this is as good a point as any to cut. We'll have a next part, and as already mentioned, after this I researched and found out that you can start to get more money through this Renown system. I even at some point worked out how to find out what your Renown is. It's in one of the menus, but I think it just tells you a number. That doesn't mean anything. But that number in some way links to how much money people are willing to give you for the same missions. It's not like the missions are getting harder, you just get more money for doing stuff. And you can reach a point when it's sort of worth playing the game, if that makes any sense. You just have to work your way there. This is the Mount and Blade early game problem, but just like way worse than in Mount and Blade. I don't think it's very good, but I have been reliably informed that it's supposed to be good, so maybe I'm missing something here. Anyway, we'll be back to grinding against the very bottom of the mercenary world and trying not to die miserably, both in the game and in real life, in the next part.